You know, the last time I hauled out the Barbie dolls, I heard from the Tammy contingent, and they were a little unhappy that their girls were not represented. So, that's what we're going to do today. This is Tammy. She is going to be starring in our puppet show as Sue. This is Lorna. Lorna is a Tammy clone, and she is going to be starring in our puppet show as Jocelyn. So, here's the conversation from last Thursday. Hey Joss, guess what I'm going to do on Sunday? I don't know. You're going to kidnap some unsuspecting old man and chain him to the bedpost. Well, yeah, but aside from that, I'm going to do a video on how to select the proper shade for your lamp. What size, what shape, and if there is a formula, I'm going to make sure they have it. Well, formula? We don't use a formula. We just pick what we like. Well, not really. There is a formula, at least a little bit of a formula, and I'm going to share it with our viewers. I didn't know there was a formula. I thought we were just lamp geniuses. Well, we are lamp geniuses, but we're also a little bit like trained monkeys chomping at the same banana all the time and not knowing why. Well, that's a depressing thought. I need to be cheered up. We need to go for Starbucks. Good idea. Let's go. Now aren't you sorry you're not in the car with us on Thursdays? See what you miss. All right. We'll be back in a few minutes, and we're going to tackle choosing the proper shade for your lamp. Okay, see you soon. I'm back, and I am going to be out of camera range for most of this video. And the reason for that is what I'm going to be doing is putting shades on lamps. So, why don't we start with our friend right here in the middle. This is the Art Deco lamp that we worked on when we did the Uno shade video. And this is probably the best example I have ever seen of the perfect shade for the perfect lamp. And I wish I could take credit for it, but in fact, when you're working with vintage shades, there's a lot of luck involved. It's not like you can just go into the department store or the lamp shop and see row on row on row of shades and just grab the one you like best. Vintage shades have to turn up for you in the market. In this case, I got lucky. The right shade turned up. Now let's talk about why this is the right shade. Now I'm going to slide around a little. First thing, we're just going to show the measurement. From the bottom of the table to the top of the lamp is 10 inches. From the bottom of the shade to the top of the finial is another 10 inches approximately. Now that is a formula that is going to work for small to medium lamps. I didn't realize it until I actually went around my house and began measuring lampshades. Turns out that the body of the lamp is usually about the same height as the lampshade, and there's a little space in here, just a little gap of an inch or two, so you can reach in and, turn the lamp on and off. Here, yeah, boy, that needs rewiring. And then we have that offset by the finial on top. Now, the reason this shade works so well with this lamp is because the lamp tapers down. It's got those nice Art Deco lines, rather like an upside down pyramid. And of course, the shade is the opposite. It's starting small at the top and tapering out at the bottom. So it's like a mirror image of the bottom of the lamp, and then it's continued with this tapered finial at the top. That's why I say this was just, boy, this was meant to be. Now, A lot of times that will work, reflecting the shape of the lamp. A lot of times it won't work, especially on larger lamps, when you might need to offset the visual weight of a large lamp with a smaller shade, or in this case, we have a bulbous base, and we're going to want to offset that with some straight lines. So we'll get into that one in a minute. So our Art Deco lamp is the perfect 50-50. Lamp, shade, same size. Space in between the top of the lamp and the bottom of the shade is about the same size as the finial. Boy, it's like you could plug that into a computer and the computer could pick out the shade for you. But while I was looking at lamps and shades, preparing for this video, I saw this one. Now this is a shade, a lamp that Jocelyn gave me about 2 weeks ago because it's horrible and she was going to throw it away. And I said, oh no, please, I'll use it for lamp parts. And she said, sure, help yourself. Well, from the moment I saw it, it was heading for the trash once I had scraped out the lamp parts I wanted. However, while I was doing this, and excuse me a moment while I grab a shade, I happened to pop a shade on this lamp. So this lamp, let me move it back a little so you get a better view. Okay. This shade just went, or the lamp just went from absolutely appalling, it needs to be thrown away, to not my taste, but if I saw it in somebody else's house, I wouldn't think they needed to be shocked. This is a cheap modern Uno shade, a trash lamp, but the fact is when you put the right shade on the lamp, suddenly it comes to life. And I wanted you to see this because it's a really good example of how you can salvage a bad lamp with the right shade. Doesn't have to be a good shade. This is not a good shade. As I say, it's a modern Uno, and as we discussed, those are low-end shades. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be a shade that looks good on the lamp. So I'm not going to say this has gone from the trash bin to sitting in the middle of my living room, but I could definitely see that sitting in the middle of someone's living room. So that's why these shades are important. Now let me take this out of the way, and don't worry, it's not going in the trash yet because I haven't picked all the lamp parts out of it. Let's take a look at this. This is a really nice mid-century lamp. It's one of a pair. It's Jocelyn's. I'm sure that comes as no surprise to you. It's just a beautiful porcelain lamp. It's got a nice bulbous base. And here, let's get a shade. This is also a modern Uno shade. Get it back so you can see the whole thing. There we go. And that is an example of the right shade for the right lamp. On a lamp like this, we could actually go another couple inches on the shade. I wouldn't go any more, however, because what we're looking at here is an 18-inch lamp. It's an 18-inch lamp. And if we gave it its 2 inches to access the switch, and another 18 inches for a shade, and another 2 inches for a finial, we would be talking about something over 3 feet tall, and not many of us have rooms large enough to support a lamp of that size. This is a lamp that's going to dominate the space it's in, but too much shade and it's going to overwhelm the space that it's in. Now, of course, this is very different from the Art Deco lamp because we don't have that same relationship between the size of the lamp and the size of the shade. This shade is 9 inches. The reason it works, however, is because it's black, and black has visual weight, and because it has very slightly sloping sides. It's basically a drum shade. A drum shade would have perfectly straight sides, but this is not that far removed. And mid-century lamps almost always had drum shades. That was just the style then. So when we look at a lamp like this, we want to see a shade, something like this. Let me see if I can find something. Here, we'll use this one again. This shade is reflecting the shape of the lamp. Smaller at the top, wider at the bottom. And it looks terrible. That is just the wrong shade for this lamp. Part of it is because, as I say, mid-century lamps demanded a different shade. But because when a lamp is this big, you really don't want to reflect the shape. You want to contrast, give a counterpoint rather than a repetition of a large, heavy shape over and over again. So that's why this doesn't look good. Now we've got another one here. This is also Jocelyn's. This is also part of a pair. And we're going to try a different shade on this. Put this in the back so you can see it. This is not the best shade for this lamp, but it works. And if this lamp were going in a living room with a lot of vertical lines, high ceilings, I would say, yeah, go with this rather than the wider drum shade. This is a good example of there's never really just one perfect shade for a lamp, with the exception of the Deco lamp, but as I say, that was pure luck. Sometimes more than one shade looks really good, and sometimes a different shade will take the lamp in a different direction. Now, that's acceptable, but let me show you something that is not acceptable. Here. This is a traditional shade on a mid-century lamp. Now, we're used to seeing these bell shades. They're common to us. It doesn't look odd. But on a mid-century lamp, it's just really not working because the styles are too dissimilar. Also, again, it's sort of reflecting that bottom-heavy look, and I don't think we want to do that on this lamp. So let's pull this off. We will get rid of the harp. And here's our drum shade again, the same one I had on this lamp. That is actually really good. Of the two lamps, I would say this shade suits this lamp better. I actually like it. I think probably because the overall look is a little smaller and more compact, not so elongated. That's a very good shade for this lamp. The other thing the black does is it picks up the black down here. We've got black in the base, and then this is sort of a gold silver. That's why the gray shade was all right with this, because it was picking up the silver. But this is picking up the black on the base, and that's one I like. Again, this is an 18-inch lamp. We would never put an 18-inch tall shade on it. So our little 50-50 formula only works on small to medium lamps. When you get into larger lamps, you have to look for different options because you simply cannot put a shade that big on a lamp. So that's good. Let's come over here and take a look at these guys. All right. I am going to step around behind you and get a couple more shades. And my entire kitchen, by the way, is full of shades. I'm going to be tripping over these things. Okay. This is a pair of chalkware lamps. And we've got two different shades. Both of these are modern Uno shades. We've got that one. And we've got this one. Now both shades work. And they work for the same reason that the drum shade on our mid-century lamp works. The bases are black. The shades are picking up the base color. There's a lot of black in our odalisque's body. Oh, word of the day, odalisque. It means a harem slave, usually in Turkey. Just so you know, I thought you'd be interested in that. I prefer this shade. I really wish I had a pair of these, but I don't. This is a single shade that I picked up at the Goodwill a couple of weeks ago. The reason I like that is because it rather looks like our little odalisque is sitting under an umbrella or a canopy. But this one will work. It has a more modern look to it than this, but if I were to sell these lamps with those shades, I wouldn't be ashamed to do it. Now, I'm going to go back around, get my tape measure, because these are small to medium lamps. All right, we got 10 inches here, and we've got 8 inches here. And remember, we wanted our shade to be about the same size as the body of our lamp. And here it is at 9 inches on the body of our lamp and 10 inches on our 8 inches on our shade. So we're still within our little formula there, and that's a formula that works. And again, we've got shape issues. This one is okay because it is reflecting the shape of the lamp, which is larger at the bottom and smaller at the top. But this one is better. That one is simply more visually appealing. And as I say, a lot of it is because it's a human figure, and it appears to be a human figure under a canopy, which is just very nice. But also, I think that shape just works a little bit better with these lamps. Now I have another lamp here. Well, I have two other lamps. This is a non-lamp. This is going to be one of our next project lamps. This is a ginger jar with no lid that I picked up for, I think, $3 at the Goodwill. I'll ask Jocelyn, she videotaped it. Here's our little vase cap. I'm going to drill a hole in that, and we're going to put a shade on it. And the shade is going to look very much like this, because, let me see if I can just sort of straighten that out here. There we go. This is very much what the shade is going to look like for this lamp, because this shade is reflecting the circular shape of our lamp. Now obviously we don't have circular shades, but it's close. It's smaller at the top, wider at the bottom, has a semicircular look, and it plays off well against this. So I think this shade might be a keeper, but I'm not really sure. That I'm still thinking about. And this lamp is interesting. This lamp is going to be a project because it got all racked out of shape. And it got all racked out of shape when the peacock landed on it. And I assume that happens to you guys too. It's not just me peacocks coming in and landing on my lamps. Because if it was just me, that would be weird. This lamp is a beautiful jadeite piece. And this lamp is actually most likely going to have that traditional shade that I rejected for the other pieces. Whoa, beg your pardon. Alright, there we go. Let me slide that back so you can get a better look at it. Get you out of the way. Okay, here we go. Now this lamp has very deco lines to it. The reason this shade works is because this is probably the type of shade this lamp would have had originally. Now when I remake this lamp, because I have to, because this is really racked out of shape, this is about 5 inches. I'm probably going to cut that in half and probably bring it down here some, in which case I might go for a somewhat smaller shade. But with this lamp, we need something that is relatively tall and thin, because this lamp is extremely thin. The reason one of these bell-shaped shades works is because it does have a wider base. I would say this shade is not perfect for the lamp, but it's acceptable. It'll do till something else comes along. So now we have seen a whole bunch of shades and a whole bunch of lamps, and hopefully you will have some sense of how you can put together a lamp, get the right shade, the facts you need to consider, and also from the ugly throwaway lamp, I hope that showed you that the right shade can really make a lamp. Now, since this is Sunday, and Sunday is in fact our hands-on project day, but I've gobbled up all of our time with lamps, and we really don't have very much time left over at all. I know you're probably all dying to get away from this video by now. Remember this lamp. This is the lamp that I used to model our Uno shades in the Uno shade video. And right here is a seahorse. And I will see about getting a close-up picture of this. When I saw this, my mind immediately went racing. And I will show you where it went racing to. Alright. See if we can get that. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Jules Verne. And from Jules Verne, the next logical step is steampunk. Now, I'm going to take this shade off. This is the shade that I usually keep on this lamp. So I want to show you a couple of things. First thing, see this? This is a glass shade. Well, this is a beautiful French glass shade. It's touched with amber along the ruffle. But notice what I have here. That is a rubber band. It's not a special rubber band. I'm pretty sure I got it from my mail carrier. Whenever you're putting a glass shade into a metal housing, stick a rubber band around this little screw area. There are 2 reasons for that. One, when you screw these screws to hold it in place, you can scratch the lamp. If you over tighten, you can smash the lamp. You can really make a mess of your shades. The other thing is, and this is especially true when you are looking at lampshades on, oh well, that was wrong. When you're looking at lampshades on ceiling fans, when the shade gets loose in the housing, your ceiling fan can start to make the most dreadful clattering noise, and that rubber band will act as a little insulator to prevent it. So, rubber bands always protect your shades and protect your nerves, because believe me, when the ceiling fans start clattering, it's enough to drive you crazy. This, by the way, is an Uno adapter. It's a special part that is designed for bridge lamps when you put a glass shade on it. This is a new one. The reason this is a new one is because the one that was originally on there went into our project. This is just a cheap industrial bulb cage. It's not a good one. The good ones you get at Home Depot or whatever, and they're steel and they're strong. This is one I got for about $1.50 on eBay from a China seller. And, oh, by the way, $1.50 including shipping. So it's decorative. It's really not functional. Well, actually, when I got this, I got two. Now, please note, there's a little flange here. This is how you secure it. You tighten the screw and the nut. It goes together like this. Okay, and that's how it goes around the socket. Well, I took one of these, and I was going to show you how to do it. But in advance of that, I thought I'd try it myself and see what kind of tools I would need. And it turns out I could do it with my fingers. And by the time I was done testing it, I was actually done with the cage. And here is the cage. This is the same as that, except that I've bent that flange out. I popped it into the original Uno adapter for this lamp, and I painted it. This is spray paint. I used just flat brown paint because I needed to match this. So flat brown paint, and then I took some brass spray paint and just, gave it a lick here and there just to give it a little bit of a more metallic look, and so it actually looked aged. All right, this is going on here. Alright, there we go. And I've got my little hook up here, which I like because that's just a nice little decorative feature. And my bulbs. This is a regular Edison bulb. They usually go for about $15 or $16 at a hardware store. They're very nice. They're very sort of authentically old in their appearance. This is an LED Edison bulb. It's probably about $4 or $5, and in addition to being less expensive and costing less to run, it'll probably last for 20 years. So here we go. We've got our cage, we've got our bulb, we've got a steampunk transformation that really, all in all, did not take me much longer to do than it took me to explain to you. So that was our little mini project for today, mostly because, it's Sunday. We're supposed to be getting our hands dirty on Sunday. All right, if you like Jocelyn's lamps, and that's the pair, it's a pair of this and the pair of the other, because although I only brought in one, she's got mates for each of them. Let me know in the comments and I'll ask her to list them, because they're very pretty and I hate that they're sitting in storage like this. And in the meantime, I will see you folks next week. As you can see, Starbucks and Red Sox. My life is complete. Oh, and if you're a Yankees fan, don't tell me. It will just hurt my feelings. I will see you all next week. As always, I want to hear from you in the comments. Let me know if this answered your questions or if you want more information. All right, see y'all later.